you lost that case, but my understanding is things have actually gotten even worse, and he's really going for you now, Roxy Tickle.
Yeah. So as I said, we are appealing, but so is he.
Oh my God.
So he is cross appealing. He is appealing the decision he won. So the decision was indirect gender identity discrimination. So, which is actually a decision that actually benefits trans activists in the sense that basically you don't even have to know that somebody has a gender identity to be discriminating against them and breaking the law. So that's what I was done for. I didn't know he had a gender identity, nor do I care. Tickle wants it upgraded to direct discrimination. He also wants damages upgraded from, he was awarded $10,000, and we can get into why. It's quite a funny story. He wants it upgraded from $10,000 to at least $30,000, and he wants aggravated damages of at least $10,000. It feels personal.
Vengeful.
Like I'm in a rights fight. I want my rights, and I want the rights of all women and girls. And I also actually want the rights of men to be able to say, like, this affects everyone. Men should also be able to say, no, that's man. Simple as that. Men should also be able to have male-only spaces for recreation, privacy, and dignity. I have no problem with that. But so I don't feel like he is in a rights fight. I feel this is a personal to me.
Or a money grab.
Yeah.
I mean, 30,000 is not nothing, is it?
No, without a doubt. And I mean, we're also, the next sort of fight that we'll have an interlocutory hearing on the 7th of April. He's also going after me for costs. So our argument is this is public interest litigation. Everyone covers their own costs. His side is saying, no, Sal can pay for his costs. There's like $400,000 from round one. Once it's basically that we want $1 million.
From you?
From me. Yeah.
Is he going to get that?
Let's hope not. We're going to fight it out in court. But at first instance, I mean, he sought a cost-capping application on the basis that he was impecunious, that he had pro bono lawyers, that this was public interest. And then to sort of shift the goalposts once they've realised now that Sal's successfully fundraising is quite extraordinary. So that is a courtroom battle that we will be having.
Yeah, basically bankrupt me because I know that a man is a woman.
How does that work? If you don't have $1 million or whatever,
Yeah,
how does it work if you're sued for £1 million or dollars or whatever?
You go bankrupt.
That's what he seems to want. Were you surprised, Katherine, when he won the first time?
Not really. We had the hearing, and it was quite a challenging 3.5 days. And sitting in the courtroom, there were moments where you got the feeling, like with the way the judge's demeanor was, with respect to how the matter was being run. And then also, the way the AHRC got up, and, our arguments were somewhat truncated. They really wanted to wrap it up. And we wanted more time. The other side were also, trying to formulate their arguments, and the judge was very considerate of that. And then we had moments where it sort of wasn't hostile, very, very hostile. The judge was yelling at my barrister. It was very uncomfortable.
Who's representing Roxy Tickle? Is it like a llama or something?
So he has a barrister and solicitors, like I do. But, the Australian Human Rights Commission intervened in Tickle v. Giggle as amicus curiae, which they have a statutory right to do. It's not uncommon that they would intervene to basically be there to interpret the law, help the judge. The problem is that the Australian Human Rights Commission is completely captured. Like, this institution is not fit for purpose. Like, I'm all for having human rights commissions. I think that they can be a really good thing. This is an ideological commission at this point. They're all in on gender identity. They have been since day one, since when I first got the complaint. I was like, these people are not considering that I also have human rights. And so they're the ones that are doing the song and dance in the courtroom going, It's spent like 2 hours trying to define gender identity, and they couldn't. They got it to a thought was basically the best they could come up with.
Have we got to the point where it's the first time I'm even considering this, that human rights might not be a good thing? Obviously, rights are good for lots of people, but the way that they can be hijacked and ideologically captured, I'm thinking not only of this whole trans situation, which has just captured all of these like lunatics at the very top of the world right now, but Israel, the UN, Israel's had more resolutions against it than every country in the world combined, and whether you like or dislike Israel, North Korea should have a few of those, shouldn't they? And Saudi Arabia and Syria. So there's obviously, these are just ideologues now. So do you think, human rights, have we gotten human rights wrong maybe?
Well, with respect to Sall's matter, where there is a big problem. So as I said, the SCA relies on CEDAW, but His Honour also decided to rely on the ICCPR, which is the International Civil and Political Rights Convention. And in that, in Article 26, it's got, you cannot be discriminated against on the basis of, categories like race, religion, national origin, those kinds of things, but also other status. And as we are learning, words, the meaning of words in law is really, really important. And those other categories are discernible, they are objective, they are definable. Whereas when you have other status, other examples are, say, migrant worker. That is objectively definable. But what His Honour did was he slotted in gender identity into that sort of other status. But as you'll see, like with the definition in the SDA, it is completely nebulous. It's based on things like name, mannerisms, dress, which can just change from day to day, moment to moment. And they're not necessarily, what's a female mannerism or a male mannerism? And why should someone who's adhering to stereotypes within that have more rights than, say, the rights that are granted on the basis of biological sex? So it's when these sort of conventions get sort of somewhat perverted and just broadened and expanded beyond what the original drafters conceived them to be, that's when we start to get into trouble.
Yeah, and what you just explained sounds so conservative, ultra conservative. Like if you dress a certain way, that's a woman thing. I've asked so many of these people, what is it to be a woman, for a man to say he's a woman? And some people said, well, it's how they walk. And it's like, what is this woman walk?
Well, when I was being cross-examined during the hearing, the side barrister was asking me questions, and she said something to the effect of, if Ms. Tickle shops in the women's department, doesn't she? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know this person.
Well, so do I. If I get my wife a T-shirt or something. Not that I've ever done that because I'd get it wrong.
Not for shoes.
Not for shoes. Bloody hell. This is the thing, and people who haven't followed the case won't, and it shouldn't matter actually, because I know some people on our sort of side, they'll show pictures of how ridiculous looking some of these guys who think they're women are. But the problem for me with that is, well, then when they do look right, does that mean that they are women and they're not? So, and it's mean as well. We don't need to go about look. But that being said, he's very blokey. This is a big bloke playing lacrosse or whatever it is, hockey, running around with a stick. This is bonkers. Has he been getting in touch with you at all?
Well, so when Tickle ever first became someone in my life, is the only user of Giggle to have ever called and texted my phone. Literally no one else ever has. And this happened at the end of 2021. I remember the day that I can't remember which order it was. I didn't keep it or anything, because it was something to the effect of like, my name's Roxy Tickle or something. You must have said his name because it's a name you remember. I feel like that's when I was introduced to the name. I've been removed from the app, and because I had his phone number, I could just type it into the Giggle server, and that's because that was the only anchor we had for users. And I just saw a picture of a man, and I called my dad and said that this guy that we have blocked off Giggle has called and texted my phone. And Dad said, block his number, don't tell your mother, because my mum sees the attacks that we all get, that women around the world get. And then I just, when something really creepy has happened and you just block it out of your mind.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And then I got the AHRC complaint a few months later. But actually, I don't really talk about this that much, but it's something that actually does bother me. For the last 3 years, so he's blocked, obviously, on my Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He is constantly watching. And even minutes after I post something, even reply, he has screenshot it and then is mocking me. And he does it to Kath too.
Wow.
Constantly. Oh, it's stopped a little bit now. I feel like someone's actually said something to him, but it has stopped in the last little bit. He hasn't been doing it as much. But for the 2 years of the Tickle v. Giggle case, he was mocking me all the time. And I was like, this is why women want a woman-only internet space. So you are proving my point. I want to get away from you. I don't know you. I don't like that you're doing this. I've blocked you. I've done everything I can. I'd like to get away from you. But I'm the one in court. I'm told that I'm harassing him.
And in court, are you sort of near?
That's the first time I've ever been in a room with him. But I've literally never spoken to this man.
Do you just hate him when you're seeing him there?
I feel nothing towards him. Nothing. Like when this is all done, I will never think about him again, ever. I cannot wait. I will never mention his name again. I will never think. I will move on with my life. I will run a woman-only app. I will provide for my daughter, and probably my women's advocacy will probably be for women in Afghanistan once we finish this. But this is like clean this house first, then we'll go and deal with all of the other stuff. But yeah, I will never ever think about him again. I feel nothing towards him.
And will this be able to clear itself up? Will we move on? Like, what are some of the things? Because you were both telling me there have been some recent things that are just bonkers that are going on at the moment with this case.
So we've got the cross appeal, then there's the money, and then, gosh, what else is happening?
So yeah, we've also got parties seeking to intervene. So interestingly, we have the Australian Christian Lobby. So they have put that they wish to speak for women of faith. And it's not just Christian women, but also they mention Muslim and Jewish women. And then we also have the Lesbian Action Group.
So have you heard about what happened with the Lesbian Action Group in Australia?
No.
So they are a group, they sort of do like events and things for lesbians based in Melbourne. They applied to the Australian Human Rights Commission to see if they could have an exemption to have female-only lesbian events like there's any other kind. And the Australian Human Rights Commission said no. So they appealed that decision, and the tribunal recently just came back and said no.
Oh, so you just cannot now just have lesbian women's...
Well, they have to go underground. Back in the closet. Yeah. So basically, and then you've got like the premier of the state in Victoria, Jacinta Allen, going just recently, she's like, there should be no discrimination to LGBTQI alphabet plus people. And it's like, but the first letter in that, you're discriminating against them, and you're doing it on the basis of sex, because this is the problem with gender identity in law, is at the moment that you're giving these privileges to men on the basis of gender identity, you are discriminating against women on the basis of sex. So it's not that there's less discrimination, there's more, and they've chosen their poison. They're siding with men.